Good morning. With today being the holiday of Tu B'Shvat, I thought I would take the opportunity to set aside for a moment the Tehillim we had been discussing and share a general concept, a general idea related to Tefillah that we can learn from Tu B'Shvat. As we know, Tu B'Shvat is the Rosh Hashanah La'ilanot, is the birthday, as we say, the new year for the trees, and there are certainly halachic significance and ramifications to that. But in the context of tefillah, we know that we can learn also an idea from trees for human beings. The Torah tells us Ki Adam Eitz HaSada, that man is compared to a tree in Sefer Devarim. And the question of the comparison is one which many grapple with. And I heard an idea from Rabbi Ande Yehudin, a Rebbe in Yeshivat Torah Shraga, who explained that the comparison is, if we think about a tree, how it begins with little sapling, and it's nourished and it's nourished and it's nourished, and it grows and it continues to grow until something becomes magnificent of it, that it becomes a large tree, it becomes fruit bearing, and the impacts of that tree lasts for essentially all time. And similarly, when we see a human being, a little baby that is born, it seems like such a small, tiny individual, tiny human being from which there's not much it can do. But we know that the more that we water it, the more that we nurture it and we nourish it, the more the human being grows until eventually it has its own offspring and continues for all generations as well. And we know that the Gemara teaches that Rabbi Akiva, one of his experiences which led him to the path of Torah, was when he saw a rock and he saw the rock had water dripping one drop at a time and eventually indenting a hole in it. And he learned from there that if that's what can happen to the rock, so what can Torah do to a human being? And the continued growth and learning and constant nourishment of learning Torah as well transforms a person. And the reality is that that's what tefillah is as well. The Gemara tells us, habilo sagi, that one without the other is not sufficient. One cannot just learn Torah, they won't get very far. One needs to also daven for success in limud haTorah, but for success in life and for growth in general. And so just like the tree has the nourishment and has the roots that is compared to the tefillah, that the roots of our ancestors, the roots of us as Jews, we know that in times of pain, in times of need, and in times of joy, our weapon, as Yaakov Avinu teaches us, is the tefillah that we have. The charviu v'kashti, so tefillah that we use tefillah as our sword, as our go-to when it comes to a time of need. And it's also the go-to when it comes to thinking HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so on Tu B'Shvat, as we consider how a tree grows, how a tree is nourished on a consistent, constant basis with its roots in the ground as the most essential part of it, so too as Jews, we understand that our connection to tefillah, our connection to the Ribono Shel Olam on a constant basis, 3 times a day and even more, is something which keeps us grounded, which keeps our roots deep and continues to nourish ourselves and our relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam. And so on Tu B'Shvat, we consider that. We consider how we are compared to a tree and that we grow through our tefillah as our roots. Have a fantastic day.